The Power Moms Network, empowering moms to lift the world.
Welcome. I'm Riley Karsh.
I'm Tova Kopan.
We are thrilled to bring you the We Go Boldly podcast.
Let's talk big burning questions, life changes, and maybe a bit of personal business.
Let's be bold and brave together. Are you ready?
I am. Here comes the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Go Boldly, the podcast, where we are thrilled to be a part of the Power Moms Network. At Power Moms Network, we are empowering moms and creating a community of mothers, mentoring other moms to greatness. I don't know why that creating gets me every time, but it does. Anyway, join us over there at Power Moms Network. Cool place to be. You can join up. You can sign up, whether you're a mom, you want to be a mom, you have a mom, all those things. It's just a great place for support and community. So all that being said, it is still season 11. I say still like it's been a long time. It really hasn't been that long. But it is season 11. We are undoing the stuff that is just, as Tova likes to say, sitting in our backpack and, dragging us back down the mountain of life. There's so many mixed metaphors in there. I am excited-ish about what we're talking about today, except that it's forcing me to have better posture. So, maybe that's a good thing. We are talking about releasing physical tension, and we are talking about it because, honestly, if you've ever listened to us, we believe, and science believes, that the body holds on to things like trauma, stress, environmental stressors, all those things. The body absorbs all that. So we're going to talk about how you get it out. Before we do that, let me say hello to Tova, welcome her to the show, and see, how are you today, Tova? What's happening?
Yeah. So, first of all, I think your metaphor was actually the same one if you went backpacking, because you climb up a mountain with a backpack on.
100%. That's what I was thinking about, because I love hiking. So it was there in my
I was like picturing
head.
Your backpack like pulling you down the mountain.
Yeah. It was a disaster.
Yeah. So I am okay. We have discussed this before, because we've done this quite a few times. We do like to schedule in pre-medical issue land. When we used to record podcasts, we used to like to record podcasts a couple weeks in advance, right? It gave us a buffer in case a kid got sick. We got sick, we stubbed a toe, whatever. And that was all well and good. And then we've had surgeries. You have a surgery coming up. And I started getting totally tweaked out by the fact that we would be recording with like different seasons, and now my brain is beginning to break by the fact that the presidential election has taken place in the world that people are listening. And I apologize to all of our listeners, and mostly to you, that I will probably be acknowledging that in every episode, simply because I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, there are things happening in the world that people are listening to this that we don't know what they are. And they could be big. And
they will be big
regardless. Yeah. And they probably won't be great, even if it's great, right? Because we've been through this before, where we were really happy with the results of the election and it was not good. And so I don't know how I'm going to acknowledge it every time, because I want to tell you about my day, which is I'm actually transitioning to a new job, and I'm on like the home stretch of my old one, and it's like really stressful. But it's fine. I feel like I'm finally breathing a little bit. Like, I had admittedly unrealistic expectations for what Labor Day could do for me in my life. But I had put a lot on Labor Day for me. as a place to do to-do lists, both personally and professionally for you and I, and for just errands. And then I got slammed with COVID, and not a thing happened. Not a thing happened. And so we are recording this on September 19th. Happy due date to my oldest. And
well, and happy birthday to my dad today.
Oh, happy birthday to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And our producer. Hello, sir. And we, like, none of those things happen. And it has taken now 19 days for me to sort of feel like I'm catching up a little bit. And so I think yesterday I told you I felt like a combined, something between frenetic or frantic and manic. And I feel like, not that I am calm, no, because, life, but I feel like maybe I'm getting a handle on things. And because some of the things on my to-do list, honestly, were like, okay, sit down and look back through emails from the summer, right? Like, I sign up for volunteer opportunities in my kids' school, and they send out these emails over the summer. And I basically look at them and be like, oh, cool. I'll look at those in the fall and see what I signed up for.
Right.
And then, so one of my tasks over Labor Day weekend was to, like, go back, look at the emails, and then write them down all in one place, all of the committees I signed up for, just so I knew. And I finally did that last night. Like, and it's not a big lift. It's like a 7-minute task, but it has to be done. So I know when someone says, oh, are you volunteering for Fall Fest? I can give them an answer, because I don't know. The answer is yes, by the way. I'm not like a committee chair. I tried to take few leadership positions, but the answer is yes, which is great, because I love the Fall Fest at our school. It's adorable. It's essentially a bake sale and a mum sale, but it's very festive and fall-y. Anyway, I say all of that because I did this outline last night, and it took me a very long time. And it took me, interestingly enough, like one of the longest outlines of this whole season, which is weird because it's basically a how-to. And I feel like it's like it was the least emotionally heavy, but maybe it's also like, oh, I need to do some of this stuff. I don't know. Like, there's something about it.
I think it's super emotionally heavy, and but it's sneaky about it.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about understanding where, how, why physical tension gets trapped in your body, right? And like, when it does, how can you get rid of it? But there's a whole component of why.
Yeah.
That I think is a really big emotional lift.
So before we get into the why and the emotional lift, I'm not going to jump to the end, in the sense that I'm not going to tell you all the details, but I want to tell you that the end is good. And what I mean by that is, no matter what the election is saying, this is dropping on November 20th. So we are hitting holiday strides, right? You have either come through some, Jewish holidays, there's Diwali, like there's just stuff happening. Thanksgiving is coming up. It is a super busy time of year. So in all likelihood, there is physical tension happening in your body. We're going to talk about the why in momentarily. But the list that I came across of how to help release it, and we'll talk about some of the more scientific relaxation techniques, but all of the relaxation techniques I came across were based in studies and were supported in multiple articles, but some of them are just great. And I'm really excited to share them. Like, sneak peek, cuddling. Like we're not, like, not all of these are like, you need to go and spend $200 on a deep tissue massage. Hey, that is one, go for it. But like, there are some great ways that you can do some things for your body that you can do while watching television, and that we can integrate into our lives to make the home stretch of this year better for ourselves and physically more peaceful. And so let's get into the heavy part, but I just want to say, like, hang on, stay with us, because the tips and the how-tos are it's a lengthy section. Most of this episode is going to be how-tos, release it. And it's good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
the dark side, if you will. It's not really the dark side. It's just the reality of life, right? We all have things that happen for us, to us, around us that trigger a response in our body. Like, and when I say trigger, I don't mean the like unfortunate way that everyone says trigger now. I mean, like, it causes a hormonal chemical reaction inside your physical being that results in stress, tension, contraction of the mind, the muscles, the organs, everything.
Yep.
And so the reality that we all have experienced this means that there's a lot of information out there about it, that this is not like, and you're not alone, right? So it comes down to a lot of the fight or flight response that we've talked about. Um, I don't know. I don't know how many times, 12 billion times. That's my favorite number in case anyone's wondering. Um, so when we talk about understanding physical tension, I'm looking at your outline here, and I think all of this is important, but we've said it before, but I'll just sort of summarize. Stress is important in that it helps us respond to threats, right? Quickly, efficiently, avoid dying, right? Like that's where it comes from. When you look back enough millennia, I don't know what the right word is.
Listen, there's a meme that's like, I wish that my body didn't respond to every email as if like a lion was chasing me. And that basically sums the whole thing up.
Right. Like, or a saber-toothed tiger, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is. It's a saber-toothed tiger. Exactly.
That's what I always picture.
Yeah.
So great. So your body is attuned to stress to save your life. Super. The problem, of course, in the modern world is that more often than not, I mean, plenty of times we need to save our own lives and do that. But like like you just said, the example of the email is not the saber-toothed tiger or whatever it's called.
Right.
So what happens when you're constantly reacting to stress as if it is something that's going to kill you? You can have all kinds of physical and mental symptoms. And I hate that we separate those things. Not us, but like the world around us separates those things. But it can lead to heart disease, it can lead to depression, anxiety, mental health concerns, physical health concerns, all kinds of things, because it's a chronic, repeated stressor. Imagine something like tennis elbow, right? You constantly making that motion, you get the pain in your elbow because you're constantly doing the same thing over and over again. It's the same with what we're talking about now. If you're in that heightened state of stress all the time, your body is going to react to that.
Yeah. I want to highlight just a couple books before I forget that talk about this and kind of at various different levels, but are and from different perspectives. So The Body Keeps Score is sort of the Bible on this topic. It's super intense. It's hard to get through.
Haven't made it yet.
Yeah.
Still trying.
It's interesting. I've read some interesting things about the author. I don't know. Take it for what it will, but like that's the book. That's the book that a lot of books are based on. The other book is, don't have the author's name, of course, because do I ever? But it is, I think we're allowed to say this because we write the little E next to our podcast. Right. But it's Unfuck the Body, which is also, there's a book, Unfuck the Brain. Yeah. Both of those are fantastic.
Good books.
Fantastic books. They're short, they're great listens. And then they're the type of books that I've listened to both of them. And then I've bought the book because they have so many like, do this, do this, do this. And I want to like be able to highlight and do the things. Yeah. And then the book Burnout is fantastic. Easy reads in the sense that like it's easy to consume. And Burnout is written by two authors, but really easy to kind of consume the information, kind of pop cultural but with science based behind it. So those are three books if you want more about this. But yeah, I mean, I think, as you were saying, that the problem is this can be something, setting aside the generational trauma and stress that can stay in a body. And we are going to have two guests over the next couple of weeks come and talk a lot about this. So we're not going to delve into it now, but, setting aside all of that, you can have these not chronic stress experiences become chronic because you're not finishing the stress cycle, because you're not clearing out the tension. And so, I think for the most part, you could say like, well, no, I know if my body's stressed, but you don't really. And it seems absurd to not know, except I will use myself as an example, as I often do, because it'd be weird to just like use other people's bodies as an example. But I grind my teeth. So I have a very like jaw issue. And fortunately, I found a mouth guard that works for me back in law school. And I just use the same mouth guard, and thank God it works, because I'm like stretching my jaw as I'm talking about it. But I did not realize until I got the mouth guard that I was unable to open my jaw in the morning. Like I could not bite into an apple in the morning. I didn't realize that. Like I didn't even know that was something, and the doctor was like, well, can you open your mouth? Could you bite into an apple in the morning? And I was like, yeah, of course. I don't know. I've not tried. And then I tried, and I was like, no, I cannot, not without, I don't think I physically can. And if I could, it would be very painful.
Yeah.
And so we don't always know that our body is under tension or stress, or we normalize so much that we forget what it's like. And I think this happens a lot when you get a massage, and then you feel what it's like after the massage, and you're like, oh, is that what my muscles are supposed to feel like?
Yeah. Or like this happens to me all the time. And it's part of why I'm constantly putting chapstick on. But you don't realize that you're gritting your teeth, right? Like you're just sitting there and you're like, I haven't taken a deep breath or unclenched my jaw in 45 minutes. And I had no idea. So I wear chapstick or lip gloss or something because it makes me move my mouth all the time, which causes me to notice that my jaw is clenched.
Yes.
But that happens all the time. Or like your shoulders are up here by your ears and you don't have any idea that that's happening, right? Like until you see a picture of yourself and you're like, why don't I have a neck? Where is my neck? And it's because your shoulders are up at your ears. And so everything's sort of turtled in. I think that happens way more often than we realize. And then if you go to someone like a chiropractor or a masseuse and they're like, wow, your hips are really tight. I don't even know what that means. What do you mean my hips are tight? Right? Like, how do you acknowledge that throughout your regular day? You don't even notice.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a physical therapist who specialized in, and I'm not going to say it right, but it's something prophylax. And basically she focuses on a very specific muscles and bones and things behind your neck to help with migraines and anxiety and all this stuff. And she had me stand up against a wall. And I was so used to being hunched over that when I stood up against the wall, I felt like I was falling backwards. I was standing straight, but I felt like I was falling backwards. So that's wacky. That does not feel good.
No.
But as you were saying, and you can kind of check in on yourself. Like you said, because we're talking about this, you're checking in on your posture, right? So what is your posture like? Because your body will adapt to the poor posture. So you won't even realize that you're having poor posture until you're forced to not have poor posture, until you're forced to pulling your shoulders back. Check in on, do you have physical activity in your life? And then we're not talking about, do you run 5 times a week, but like, do you do anything but walk from your house to your car and your car to your office and then back? And, are you doing other movement? Excuse me. Are you, what kind of daily stressors do you have and how are you dealing with them? Like, what are you doing to break up that flight or fight response that comes when you're paying your bills and you're stressed about money? Cough.
Sorry, I'll take over. So there are a million little things throughout our days that can cause stress in the body, and what we're talking about is starting again self-awareness, starting to notice those things in yourself, starting to look for them, because if it's not a habit that you have already created, right? You have to work for it. You have to practice it. You have to be like, okay, today I'm going to pay attention to where my shoulders land. I'm going to pay attention to, am I sitting up at my desk? Do I need a little footstool? Do I need to, take a 20-minute break at lunch and walk so that I actually move my body. Starting to acknowledge that there might be stress, right, in your body and that you might not have noticed it. And so maybe I'll start looking for it. Those sorts of things is really how this all begins. And then there's, of course, chronic stress, which is, if you have things in your life that are, and I think we all do, especially now, if you have things in your life that are repetitive and keep coming back to you and like, you feel like they're weighing you down, like that backpack example, that is going to show up in your body somewhere, right? So start looking for it.
And I would also just add, don't assume, and we're going to talk about this a little more, and then I think we'll take a break and come back and talk about, the impacts of what this physical tension can be on your health. But don't assume that like the pain that you have is just the way it is. So I worked in an office job for a very long time and I was very active, but I worked at an office job. I sat at a desk. That's what I did. And then I left that job and I had a job where I sat quite a bit, but I was like sometimes sitting at my kitchen table. Sometimes I was sitting in a car. Sometimes I was standing up and walking around. Sometimes I was sitting on my couch. Like I was moving and I was changing how I sat because I was like changing where I sat because sometimes I would work at a coffee shop. And then I would also go for walks in the middle of the, I did middle of the day. I did different things. And I did that for almost 6 years. And then I went back to an office job where I sat. And I was not young, but I was younger than I am now. I was like, I don't know, 35, 36. I don't know. I was like youngish. And immediately the back pain that I used to have came back.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. And I got a standing desk and I started, I added things. And then when I moved to a job where I couldn't have a standing desk because I was in a cubicle, so like I was like literally looking at everybody and that was creepy. I got one of those like bicycle feet things. But I realized that the back pain that I had was because I was sitting at a desk every day, all day long. And no matter how many times I'd get up, if I could get up on an hour, but I had a billable hour requirement, so I wasn't getting up on an hour, and walk around the office, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't realize that had just gone away because when I sat at my dining room table or my desk, yes, I wasn't sitting properly, but I was sitting in different enough positions and I was shaking it up enough. Like, but I had no idea. I had not made the correlation at all. And that maybe there was a little correlation between those billable hours and the back pain. Anyway, just don't make assumptions that whatever you're dealing with is just the way it has to be. I think we often do that. And that is, it's not fair to our bodies and it's not fair to us. So let's take a quick break and come back and talk about what are some of the impacts of when you're carrying this physical tension on your body, because it's not just, oh, well, I have some sore muscles. It can have some pretty significant, like long-term impacts. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Well, hello there, ladies. Are you ready to elevate your life and connect with like-minded souls? Join us every week at the Go Boldly Together weekly Women's Circle, where strength meets sisterhood. Dive into empowering discussions, share your victories, and navigate challenges together. Our circle is a safe space for growth and inspiration. Experience the power of collective wisdom and unleash your full potential. Don't miss out on the transformative energy. Click the link in our show notes or visit us at goboldlyinitiative.com/women's weekly group to learn more about our Go Boldly Circle today. Together, let's embrace the journey of personal development and let's celebrate that unstoppable force within each of us.
All right, so welcome back. So as I said, we were just going to talk a little bit about the impacts of physical tension. Obviously, muscle tension, issues with your joints, It can lead to pain and discomfort. It can lead to chronic back problems, though. So, nobody wants to have back surgery, and certainly not back surgery that was preventable if you figured out a way to process your stress. Obviously, I'm not blaming people for getting back surgery. There's back surgery that's not preventable, like loads of surgeries that are not preventable by deep breathing. So I please, if there's anything that I say at any point during this that implies that anything is preventable by deep breathing, like surgery, there's many surgeries that are not preventable by deep breathing, and many illnesses that wouldn't be preventable by a few yoga moves. But there are some that could be, like, so let's prevent what we can. But there can be long-term issues. It can lead to flare-ups in your symptoms of arthritis, fibromyalgia, and a lot of other conditions that you might already have, but that the stress and the tension significantly increases your symptoms. So things that you already have, but they're going to be made worse when your muscles are tense. Another thing, as we all know, headaches, right? So whether it's tension headaches or migraines, when the muscles around your jaws, your neck, your shoulders, I guess these are your shoulders, like all those muscles that are connecting your shoulders and your neck, your back, when those are tight, it is just a happy land for headaches.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people carry stress in their stomach. It goes in conjunction with anxiety. But even if you are not anxious and you don't have, diagnosed anxiety, your stress impacts your digestive tract and impacts your gut. It can slow everything down. It can lead to all kinds of gut troubles. It can also lead to heart disease, right? So I think everyone has heard this by now, but like chronic stress can lead to inflammation. Inflammation impacts the heart. And so, that's a scary one. I mean, I have personal concerns about that impact me, but like, it's a scary thought that, you can get so stressed that your whole system becomes inflamed and your heart gets damaged. And then of course it can weaken your immune system. I think I experienced that with my whole family this summer. Like we, obviously we just kept getting sick and sick and sick, and our immune systems were weakened by that. But I think we were pretty stressed too with everything going on in our lives. And so that's like a perfect storm for this sort of weakened immune system reaction. Couple that with inflammation, and then, your body's in trouble at that point.
Yep. It can also affect your skin and your hair. So that's fun when you're stressed to have
your hair falls out.
Yeah, when your hair falls out, or you get acne or eczema, rosacea.
It really reduces the feelings of stress.
Yep. Itchiness, highs really help. Excessive sweating, those are really going to help your stress. Reproductive health, that's always great. When you are wanting to have a baby and you're struggling to have a baby, and then you get stressed about struggling to have a baby, or your reproductive rights and bodily autonomy are affected and you're stressed by that. That's great. That really helps your ability to create life. It is as it says in the notes, a vicious cycle of stress. So that is fantastic. It can cause you to miss periods, which then cause you to worry about when you miss periods. It can lead to hormonal imbalances. Once again, no one is saying that doing some deep breathing will fix all of these problems. But what I will say is, I was very fortunate when it came to fertility, but I didn't get like pregnant on the first try. And as somebody who, you set a goal, you and I are both goal-oriented people. And when you have a goal, you're like, okay, if I do X, Y, and Z, then I will be able to achieve said goal. And fertility is one of those things that just takes everything out of your hands.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. So it was nice to be able to do things. And it was like, oh, okay, drinking whole milk, that's better than skim milk. Great. I will put whole milk on my cereal if you tell me to. Acupuncture can do something. Great. I will do that. If you tell me deep breathing and yoga will help reduce the stress in my body, great. I will do that. because it empowers you to do something.
Right.
So, and that to me helped reduce my stress. So that is, and then obviously being able to have the bodily autonomy and ability to go see doctors.
Yeah. For healthcare.
Yeah.
I think, just a couple more, obviously, the stress and the physical impacts of stress can include weight gain, particularly if your cortisol levels get out of whack, because
Yep.
cortisol is a stress hormone. Your body produces it when it's under stress. And so, of course, the more stress you're under, the more cortisol you create, and the more your hormones get sort of out of alignment. And then I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Stress impacts your mental health. You can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't this, that, and the other thing. It really can start to downward spiral you into either anxiety spirals, depression, or even, other things that are even harder to deal with. So all of those things being said, like, what do we do? Okay. I mean, it was kind of a dreary, like,
So let's
everything's
flip
terrible.
it on its head, right?
So what can we do to alleviate stress in the body specifically? Now, I think it's important to note, like, taking some of these stressful things out of your life is a great idea, right? Like, if you can remove some of these stressors, do it. We cannot remove, well, we're trying to, but we cannot fully remove the stress of knowing that there are people out there that don't want us to be in charge of our own bodies, right? Like, I can't take that out. So I have to know how to manage it, right? I have to know how to deal with those feelings and the way that impacts my body. So we can do a lot of relaxation techniques. I'm not going to go through this whole list of like what relaxation techniques can do. But as you've said several times now, Tova, it's not going to cure your cancer or, fix my knee. I'm not going to breathe my way into a new ligament. However, I'm going to breathe my way into not panicking over needing a new ligament and over not being in control of every aspect of my body at every moment of the day, which none of us are.
Well, and listen, like enough studies have shown that like I'm not going to blame cancer on stress, but cancer does do better in stressful environments.
Right.
And there are better surgical results when people are more relaxed. And we don't have to go through this whole list, but it's, we're going to highlight, and we'll talk through this list and then come back with all of our tips because they're great. But there are specific relaxation techniques. And then there are like just other things you can do.
Right.
And in the specific relaxation techniques, they do things like have the ability to overall slow your heart rate and lower your blood pressure. They have the ability to help control blood sugar levels. Now, if you're diabetic, you need to go see an endocrinologist, obviously. But if you're someone who just can feel the occasional spike in blood sugar, like, and you're not suffering from like a significant like medical issue, or maybe together with your doctor, like doing relaxation techniques. It can lessen the activity of your stress hormones. It can increase blood flow to major muscles. These are all things that are scientifically backed up that this is what relaxation techniques can do. So I think it's really important to know, and we don't need to go through the rest of the list, but like these, along with, medical intervention, I think we all know that I don't know anybody who's like, I would like to add more medication to my list.
Right.
You add what you need to, you add what keeps you healthy. But if you can either reduce it or make it more effective, or live a lifestyle where you're eventually don't need it, not you need to take it out, but even like you don't have the chronic illness. I think that's ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you need evidence, like if you're like, yeah, I don't know, if you have a fitness watch or, you can take your pulse yourself, but if you have a fitness watch, it's easy. You can turn on the heart rate feature and do some deep breathing and watch your heart rate slow down. So I've done it. I've shown my kids this. It's, it's the parasympathetic response to deep breathing. That's just what your body does. It's great. So yeah, if you're skeptical and you need some evidence, go ahead and try it, because it does in fact work. Do you want to talk through some of these relaxation techniques?
Yeah, let's talk through them. So one is called an autogenic relaxation. So this one's kind of interesting. You use visual imagery and body awareness to lower your stress. So you repeat words or suggestions in your mind that help you relax and lessen muscle tension. You might imagine a peaceful setting. Sounds very similar to meditation. And you focus on relaxing your breathing or slowing your heart rate. You might feel different physical senses, such as relaxing each arm or leg one by one. I will admit that this outline that I put together for Riley and I was about 4 times as long, because I had exactly like, okay, go to your room for 15 minutes and lay down. And I took all of that out. So, if autogenic relaxation seems interesting to you, you can go to YouTube and look it up, or you can look in some of our show notes. We'll have some links. Another one is progressive muscle relaxation. I have done this, and I have done this in the middle of an anxiety attack, and it works.
Yeah.
I don't, if you're listening and you've ever experienced, now it would work if you weren't in an anxiety attack, but when you're in an anxiety attack, you cannot just relax your muscles, because you're in a heightened state of anxiety. And so if I'm like, oh, just relax my shoulders, I'm like, you can't do that. But what you can do is you can actually make them more tense, oddly enough. So what you do is, I started with my toes when I did it. I was listening to a meditation that walked me through the process, but I started with my toes, and I would tense every single muscle before relaxing it. So you would tense it, and then you would release it. And and I think this one may have said you start with your face. I don't know. I just listened to the lady on the meditation app. I did what she told me to do, but you tense and then you release. And what's nice about that is, if you do have, and you don't need to wait for an anxiety attack, but if you do, or a panic attack, if you're carrying a ton of stress in a muscle, it is very hard to release that tension. But if you tense it even more, somehow it's easier to release it.
Yeah. So if this is something you want to try, there's a bajillion guided exercises for this. The reason we want to tighten our muscles before we release them is, it's multifaceted, but one of the most important reasons is that it causes us to come back into our body, especially if you're in a panic attack, you have left your body, you're no longer there. But even if you're not, like I do this with my daughter a lot at bedtime. I have her listen to these because her mind is going so fast, and it's so hard to slow it down and allow her to go to sleep, that tensing and releasing causes you to be more connected with your mind and body, right? There's more of a mind-body connection there. And it's very hard, and I think you've said this in other episodes, Tova, but it's very hard to focus on the anxiety, the thought processes that are going through your brain when you're like, okay, now I need to tense my hands. Now I need to tense my arms, right? It pulls your focus into something very discreet and helpful to what you're trying to accomplish. I did also, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's also as much fun as you would imagine when someone tells you to relax. Like, come on, just relax, calm down. You can only imagine how much fun that is when you're having a panic attack.
Yeah.
And you would imagine how well your muscles respond to that thought. Hey, relax, man, just relax.
Yeah.
And so whether you're having a panic attack or not, whether you're just sitting there and you're like, I really need to relax my shoulders. And you're like, come on, shoulders, relax.
Right.
But you can tense them and then relax them. So
and it's progressive for a reason. It's progressive muscle relaxation for a reason, right? Like, you're going to have to do it over and over again. The first time you tense and release, you might release a little bit, the next time a little bit more, and so on and so forth, until your body is more fluid and capable of hearing those ideas of like, oh, okay, I want to relax. And frankly, you might combine these things, right? You might do a progressive muscle relaxation and then go into the autogenic relaxation, where you're envisioning and this is like the visualization that you have next. You're envisioning a place that makes you feel safe, secure, content, whatever feeling it is that you need in order to release that stress that's got a grip on you.
So a couple things, like you said, this takes practice. These are amazing, but they do take a lot of practice. But what is nice is you like I brought up the panic attack just because I've had this experience and I've done this when I've had a panic attack. You don't need to wait to have a panic attack. You can be like you've done with your daughter, where you're doing it at night. And it's a nice way to just make sure your body lets go of the stress of the day. But what's nice is they get easier. They get so much easier the more you do them. And by doing them every night, like I should do this every night, because guess what it would do? It would help prevent panic attacks. It would help my body close the stress cycle every day. And that is really helpful. And it also allows your body to be like, I know what to do. I know how to do that. One thing I do want to highlight that I had read that said that those people who are dealing with serious mental health issues or potentially a history of abuse or trauma may have feelings of emotional discomfort during some relaxation techniques. As always, we always love to suggest that people reach out for help or therapy. If you're feeling discomfort, stop what you're doing and talk to somebody. Don't, if you're feeling like, oh, wow, my shoulder's sore, you can probably keep going. But if you're feeling other discomfort, something different, stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't need to push yourself through something that feels bad, comfortable.
Right.
And reach out for help.
Yeah, absolutely. I did also just want to mention if you need evidence of this being a real thing that works, when you wake up in the morning, do you stretch out your body, right? Like if you do, that is the same thing as this. That is you coming back into your body from your being in sleep. You might think, oh, well, it's just the like natural reaction, whatever, but it releases tension in your body to stretch like that. So it's the same concept. It's just done sort of automatically because a lot of us wake up and we like, now I really want to stretch, by the way. And we like stretch out our arms and, do whatever to sort of get your blood flowing and all those things. It's really the same concept. It's just done at a different time.
Yep. So let's take our one more break. And then this is the fun stuff, because these are all the things that we think of as relaxation techniques, but they actually, these are things that support those relaxation techniques. And these are also ways that help potentially complete those stress cycles and just things that we can do between now and the end of the year and hopefully for the rest of our lives to help keep stress free from our bodies as much as possible. So let's take a quick break and we will be right back. Hey there, pod family. Have you ever wished you could stay in the loop with a little slice of transformation and inspiration delivered straight to your inbox? Well, you're in luck because now you can. Introducing our fantastic newsletter, your VIP pass to all things exciting and informative. Join our community of growth-minded souls. Get the hottest topics delivered right to your inbox. It's quick, easy, and totally free. Just head over to our website at goboldlyinitiative.com and sign up for our newsletter today. Don't miss out on the next big thing. Stay connected with us. Subscribe now and get ready for some big, bold love. So welcome back. So first things first, we've already mentioned it about 18 times so far in this episode. We'll mention it one more time. Deep breathing. It is harder than it sounds. Usually when we are stressed, we are deep breathing shallow breathing. And a great way to tell if you are stressed is to check on your breathing.
Yeah.
Because in all likelihood, it is hard to take a deep breath.
Yeah, there are a million products out there that can help you with this too. One I really like that I got for my kids is it's a light and it changes color based on when you're supposed to breathe, when you're supposed to hold your breath, when you're supposed to stop. So you don't even have to think. You just sit there and you watch the light and you do what it says. And you can get them in different shapes. Ours is a little Buddha. You can get like all kinds of different things. But also there's apps on your phone you can use that will tell you to breathe. And these are really, really useful. They have visuals that help you like take the deep breath in and deep breath out. And those things are great if you are not sure, right? Like if you're like, I don't know, deep breath.
Yep.
Okay. And you're just sucking in a deep breath and it's not doing anything for you. These might be helpful to sort of guide you in the process.
Yeah, and find what works for you. I actually reached out to a friend who's a physical therapist, and she sat down with the boys and I and went over some deep breathing ways. They do a lot of sports. They're all goalies. I have at least 2 pitchers with me. And so they need to know how to deal with anxiety in healthy ways, like healthy anxiety and not so healthy anxiety. And it was interesting because she showed us 3 different deep breathing exercises. And I really like box breathing just because like I picture the box. It's very like I picture it.
Yeah.
And they all liked a very different way. And they preferred that. And it was something that they liked because it was faster and they could do it like if they were in school, they could like just go to a bathroom and do it really fast. And I was like, all right, cool. As long as you have a way that you can do. So, and that is kind of a life lesson for all of this. Like find what you will do. That's the best way. The one that you will do. So speaking of the one that you will do, exercise. And I say exercise, and before you run away, I'm going to highlight other words, moving your body. So the quote is, moving your body can also release pent-up energy that contributes to body tension. So they said 30 minutes of moderate exercise most days of the week, but I'm going to go back to move your body as much as you can most days of the week, right? And they highlight different ways. I pulled out yoga because that's emphasized in so many different articles, but yoga falls into this. Gentle stretching. There's aerobic exercises like walking and running and swimming and cycling, but also dance parties in your kitchen. If it needs to be organized exercise for you, that's great. But if you're doing nothing and you can walk around the block, please walk around the block.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people don't consider this exercise, but housework, yard work, those kinds of things. If you're like, I don't have time for this. Do you understand how busy I am? That kind of thought process. And if you're out there, you're going to rake leaves. That's moving your body, maybe rake another 5 minutes. I don't know.
I cut it out of the outline, but they listed gardening, they listed vacuum cleaning or vacuuming. And I love the One Tree Hill podcast, and Hillary Burton talks about how she doesn't quote exercise. She cleans her house. She's like, I don't have a cleaning lady. We live on a farm.
Yeah.
I clean my house and I work on my farm. She goes, I don't exercise, but I don't have a cleaning lady and I live on a farm. I don't need to exercise. Because she does obviously exercise. What she's saying is she doesn't go to the gym. Right. And I think that we equate exercise and going to the gym, and it's just not. Also, I want to highlight that, I say yoga, and I think so often people think of like sun salutation and a 1 hour, routine. And what I read over and over was child's pose, downward dog, cat cow are particularly effective for relieving tension. I read it over and over and over again. And I got to tell you, a good child's pose is so fun and so relaxing and so nice. But in order to do it, your hips do have to be kind of open, and you have to like stretch like you have to be able to release something. So it does help you de-stress because it's the only way you're going to be able to get in that position.
Yeah.
But when they're talking about yoga, they're not necessarily talking about like an hour of yoga. They're talking about sitting in front of your TV and doing some light stretching.
Yeah, and I want to highlight a couple things about all of this, and in particular with respect to exercise, but with respect to exercise and age and where you are in your life, there are times where high intensity exercise is actually counterproductive, right? It might create more cortisol in your body, which increases your stress. So you have to give yourself the grace and the awareness of where are you in your body, right? Like, where are you in your lifetime, your lifeline? And that's not to say that people who are on the older side of the spectrum can't do high intensity exercise. Of course they can. It's where are you right now? What is happening in your life? That is the key to answering this question. So high intensity yoga might not be relaxing for your body in any meaningful way, where gentle yoga might be. So, being aware of that, I think is super important.
And it's not even, it is the grace to a certain extent, but it's also educate yourself. It's also like take the time, and I guess giving yourself the grace to allow yourself to learn.
Mhm.
I never thought I liked hot yoga. What I don't like is a room full of a ton of people doing yoga. I apparently love to be in a sauna by myself doing like a little tiny sauna. I also would have told you up until 2 months ago that I don't like saunas because I've never enjoyed saunas and I don't like hot yoga. I apparently love doing yoga in a sauna. Who knew?
Right.
I now know. And I really only signed up for this hot sauna gym because a friend joined and the price was right, or didn't join. It's her gym and I
Right.
wanted to support her. I find it so enjoyable and I love sweating. It's just a delightful thing. But that goes back to 2 weeks ago when we were talking about our brain being stretchy.
Yeah.
But figuring out what is good for your body now, I think is important. Maybe it's heavy weights, maybe it's light weights, maybe it's no weights. I'm gonna releasing tension with massage therapy. That's great. That is good for you. Um, Promoting healing with heat therapy. So whether that's a sauna, whether that's a heating pad, whether that is a hot tub, whether that is a warm bath, those can be great ways to release tense muscles. I just want to really fast go back to massage therapy. Massage therapy is an excellent way to relieve muscles and tightness if you're okay with somebody touching your body. If you're not okay or comfortable with somebody touching your body, don't do it. And that's okay. So for some people that would not be at all relaxing and that would be more stressful. So that's okay too. We talked about meditation in the context of like visualization and imagery. This came up again and again and again. This is also something that you can do, in your car at work to help take yourself out of a stressful situation. You can do 30 seconds of visualization and meditation at your desk if you have to. Like, this is something that, and maybe you can't do it until you have established a meditation practice, but it's something that you can take with you.
Yeah, meditation doesn't have to be long and drawn out either. We've talked about this at length on the show. But you can also combine it with movement, right? You can do walking meditations. You can do talking meditations. You can do written meditations. You can do all kinds of meditations. And they are not, I mean, yes, there are meditations where people sit and stare at a wall for 3 days and go someplace else, but there are
Yeah.
also 5-minute meditations. So find what works for you, as we keep saying. I think I think this one is something that I struggle with and is just so good for you, making time for play and laughter. And play
Yes.
has no purpose. I've said this several times this season. Play is not meant to get you something or get you somewhere. Play is just play. Um, so I think that those are super important. Laughter for sure. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've just sat and scrolled through reels of cats
Yeah.
doing stupid things and laughed, and it releases a lot of physical tension. It releases your jaw, it releases your face, all these things, right? Physically, it does that, but also physically from other parts of your body, they will loosen up.
I mean, and legit brain chemicals, it decreases stress hormones, which means cortisol. Like, hey, it helps you, if you care about weight gain, laughter, that's helping you. Diet, I suppose. I don't know. But if that's your thing, I don't know. But like, laughing is good for you. As you plan the rest of your year, if it is a stressful time of year for you for work, or if family engagements are stressful, build in laughter. Whether it is listening to podcasts, I can recommend the Handsome podcast. They are funny. I laugh so hard when I'm listening to them. I'm sure there are other funny podcasts. Smartless is funny, but I mean, Handsome is so funny. We have talked about this many times before, but when I started adding stand up, like watching stand up and seeking out jokes, and like you said, reels, other things in life are funny. Like,
Yeah.
you find funny other places.
And there's so many options on like Netflix now that you can find not every comedian is for every person. So you can
Right.
find somebody that, you find hilarious pretty easily
Yeah.
at this point.
Yep. And connecting with others is really, really important. That does not mean that you have to go to parties. That means finding people that you enjoy connecting with. So if it means having coffee with somebody, if it means, being quiet with somebody, if it does mean going to a party with somebody, I think that especially this time of year, we get caught up in a lot of the obligations. And sometimes those obligations are things that we really want to be doing, and that is awesome. But sometimes we get so filled with obligations that we forget that it can be kind of a magical time of year. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. And we should be enjoying some of the sparkly lights with people that we genuinely want to be spending time with. And so make sure that your calendar isn't just filled with the people that you feel like you have to spend time with. And hopefully you have people in your life that I know as an introvert who also wants to be around people, it can be very confusing, but I have developed at least a handful of friends that live close by that I could say, listen, I'm really tired, but like, would you just want to like come over and maybe have hot chocolate and like watch a Christmas movie tonight? And like, we can both just kind of veg out. And because I don't want to be alone and I want to hang out with them, but also like I don't really need to talk a lot. And they would be okay. Like that would be a thing that they'd be like, yes, that would be great. I also need to leave my house, but like I also don't want to be like high intensity social engagement.
Right.
And that's, if just figure out what you need to bring some joy and connection to this season. This season, doesn't have a lot of connection, or it sometimes doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think connection and community, right? Like finding a community that works for you and that feels good to you is something that can help reduce stress tremendously. For whether it's the holiday season or not, I think that's an important part of life. It's that sense of belonging. I like this one, asserting yourself, saying no, right? Like
yes,
being able to just say no to things. Reduces stress. I mean, like, I know that for me, cutting things out of my life that were not necessary to be doing or having or seeing or whatever, engaging in, really improved the quality of my life. And I think it would for anyone.
And we don't normally read exactly what we like take from an article, but I left this in here because I wanted to read it really fast. Saying yes may seem like an easy way to keep peace, prevent conflicts, and get the job done right. But instead, it may cause inner conflict because your needs and those of your family come second. Putting yourself second can lead to stress, anger, resentment, and even the wish to take revenge. And that's not a very calm and peaceful reaction. Remember, you're a priority. And I just love that so much. And I think it's so important this time of year, every time of year, all year long, but especially this time of year. So saying yes may seem like an easy way to keep the peace, but it might lead to a feeling of revenge or a wish for revenge. And that's not a very calm and peaceful reaction. So just say no. I think that's what Nancy Reagan was talking about, really.
Clearly.
Yeah. Get enough sleep. So
that sentence just stresses me out.
It's so important. And I say that as a person who has been much better at this until last night. I've actually been really not good at sleeping, but good at going to bed at a good time recently.
Yeah.
I would say over the last couple months, I've been much more cognizant at what time I'm going to the bed. And part of it is because while my kids are by no means older, I have been okay with them staying up. Like they've been better at putting themselves to bed. So, and I've been like going to bed, at least on the weekends, like where I'm okay with them. They're also sleeping in. So in the past, they haven't slept in. And so it's been like, no, you have to go to bed early. And so now they're sleeping in, and I want to go to bed early. And so it's like, okay, just go to bed when you're ready to go to bed. And I'm kind of awake a little. I'm just in bed reading, but like, I've been much better at it. Last night I was not, because I was doing work, and that was bad because now I'm tired. But getting enough sleep, or at least just get in the bed. Just get in the bed with a book and put your phone away.
Yeah.
And I think that might be somewhere. Put your phone away. Just put it away. I don't know if it's here. I may have kept it out. I don't know. Put it
Yeah.
away. I didn't put it in because it felt judgy, but I'm judging
Yeah.
myself, just myself.
I do want to say getting enough sleep at a certain point becomes very hard. If you are having hot flashes,
Yeah.
if you are waking up to go to the bathroom, if your kids are waking you up, if your cat is waking you up, if your neighbor's dog doesn't stop barking all night long, these things get in the way of having good sleep. I find it's obviously personal to me. I find it super judgy when people are like, well, are you getting enough sleep? And I'm like, no, because my life is a clown car. I don't, what do you mean am I getting enough sleep? It never stops.
Yeah.
However, it is really important to get the best sleep you can get, right? To do the things to, like you just said, Tova. And I like thinking about it this way because I feel less guilty. To do the best job you can at getting yourself as much sleep as you can, right?
Yeah.
So whether that's listening to meditation before you go to bed, putting away your phone, reading a book, telling your kids to go to sleep when they're ready to go to sleep, whatever gets you to the quality of sleep you need to feel good is what we want to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, for me right now, it's just like getting into the bed.
Yeah.
Like I just need to be in the bed, and we are moving as a family to we're still getting out of summer habits.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're still moving out of summer habits, and it's taken a bit of time, but we'll get there. And getting our devices away from us faster, and remembering when practices are over, we're just going we're chilling. We just need some more chilling needs to happen. We're less frenetic, but I think because like you said, there's so much we can't control with our sleep, but we can hopefully control, the environment of our room, right? Like our pillows, our sheets. Like, do we like our sheets? Like, control what you can and recognize 95% of it is out of our control. So really do what you can with that 5% and cross your fingers, hope for the best.
Right.
And if there are physical things that are happening with your body, some of them are out of your control, but don't assume all of them. So I have something going on, and I Googled it, and it was like, if this has been happening for a week or two, reach out to your doctor. 9 months, I think. 9 months. And I was like, oh, okay. And I called the doctor to set an appointment, and she's like, we can get you in tomorrow. And I can't go. And it's going to be like a week and a half from now. And she's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's been months and months. It's fine.
Right.
But just, don't assume that it can't be helped. Maybe it can't be. And that's fine. Hey, with women, a lot of things can't be helped, but don't assume. Call the doctor and have them tell you that it can't be helped.
Yeah. And see the right doctor for you. Like if your doctor's like, well, that's just how it is. Maybe find another doctor and ask them. And if they say it too, then maybe that is just how it is. But
also, if a doctor ever says that's just how it is, I don't like that doctor. Have them say, it's very frustrating, but we're going to try this. It's, it's the best we can do. I'm really sorry. At least that's better than, that's just how it is.
Absolutely.
So listen, this has gone long. But we're all carrying tension in our bodies. There's not, notice that we didn't say how not to carry tension. It's just tension's going to get in, but there are ways to kind of keep it from taking hold. And there's also ways to get it to get it out once it gets in. Keep it from being chronic.
This is a trial and error process too, right?
Yes.
Like you've said a million times, I think by now, Tova, it's what works for you is what works for you. And it might not be the same as what works for your mom or your sister or your neighbor or whoever. So you have to just try things.
And we have 2 guests coming up that are very different. And I'm really, really excited about. And they're both going to talk about how they work with people's bodies, like what they've done for themselves, how they work with people's bodies when it comes to stress and trauma, and, carrying things through people's bodies. And so I guess next week we have somebody who's coming up, and she is like a somatic therapist and yoga trainer. So that'll be great. I think that'll be really interesting.
No, absolutely. Do we have some homework for this week?
Yes. I didn't write it down. It's in my head. Okay. So our homework this week is shocking to try one relaxation technique out. So remember, we highlighted the progressive, the muscle tension,
progressive muscle relaxation,
not tension, because that would be weird. Progressive muscle relaxation. And these are the hard ones. I'm going to leave it to you to try all the other fun ones, the yoga, the exercise, the cuddling of your kids or your pets. Because by the way, cuddling pets was one of them. I liked how they skipped over humans.
Well, that can add tension.
Yeah. Depending. So progressive muscle relaxation, or the autogenic relaxation, or the visualization. So one of those three relaxation techniques, try one. That's it. That's your homework. Just try one. We are making the assumption that you are carrying stress. So I'm not going to ask you to write in your journal. I mean, if you want to write in your journal, I think that's awesome. Write in your journal. But I'm not going to ask you to write in your journal and take a deep dive to figure out if you're carrying stress in your body. I'm going to make the assumption that you're carrying stress in your body. But try one of those relaxation techniques. We will try to share some of those in our newsletter, like some links to places you can go check out some options in our newsletter and on social media. So make sure you sign up for that, or in our show notes. But try one out and tell us what you think. And then pair them, with something fun that hopefully you're already doing. Maybe you already laugh a lot. Maybe you like funny movies. Maybe you already, exercise because you garden a lot, or you are cleaning your house in preparation for Thanksgiving, or you, I don't know, cuddle your pets all the time. But try one of these because it's a work in progress. So I want you to just rip the Band-Aid off and try it, because you're going to have to probably try 5 different things to see if you like it. And if you don't like your first progressive muscle tension because you didn't like the person's voice, muscle relaxation, I keep calling it muscle tension, try somebody else, right? Try somebody different. So that is your homework for this week, and let us know how it goes. Tag us on social media or join our women's circle and share with us what your experience was.
All right, everyone. Well, with all of that, we will be back next week with another episode from season 11. We, as you said, Tova, we have a fantastic guest joining us. I think you all will love it. Until then, release that physical tension, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening to We Go Boldly podcast. We know you're busy and we love spending time with you.
If you enjoyed this week's episode, let us know. Head to Apple Podcasts right now to rate and review our show. While you're there, be sure to click that subscribe button.
Want more us time? Follow us on all the socials at Go Boldly Together.
Want even more us time? As in all the coaching pizzazz. Find us at goboldlyinitiative.com for all the info.
We will be back with more excitement, research, and deep thoughts next week.
Until then, keep on being the bold, brave, amazing people we know you already are.
The Power Moms Network, empowering moms to lift the world.